Going everybody, Granger here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about Judas Iscariot, the man who betrayed Jesus. I'm going to be talking about if it was predetermined and whether or not it was always destined to happen the way it happened, and whether Judas had a choice in the matter. Now, before we get started, if you're new around here and you enjoy this video, please, for me, hit the subscribe button. If you do subscribe, please share this video with as many people as possible. Now, one thing I need to get out of the way right away is that Jesus was always going to end up suffering and dying for us anyway. That's the whole point of Jesus coming for the first time anyway, was to suffer and die and rise from the dead. Now, throughout the entire Old Testament, it does prophesy that Jesus will be born of a virgin. He would die. He will suffer. He will be betrayed. He will suffer. He will die, and he will rise from the dead. Doesn't give a any specifics on how it's going to happen. Each of these things are going to happen, but each of these things do come to pass. Now, do I think it was Judas's fault that Jesus ended up being betrayed? I would say so. Jesus said it himself that Judas betrayed the Son of Man with a kiss. He called him a betrayer. Like, Jesus knows, if Jesus knows he's going to be betrayed anyway, which he does, why would he say that? Well, I have two reasons why, but the one reason is because, well, his humanity came through, and 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 he saw a brother of his, one of the 12 apostles, and one who's ate with him, one who's walked with them, preached with them, and even performed miracles with them. They ate together, laughed together, sang together, did all those things, and he witnessed one of his best friends, his closest companions, betray him. I always imagine when Judas shows up to betray him in the Garden of Gethsemane, I always imagine that Jesus shed tears when he saw that. Like, I think that broke his heart worse than any of the beatings he could have received. But it just happened that way because Judas was always going to betray him. But does that mean that Judas had a choice? Of course he had a choice. Everybody has a choice. We were created through the purpose of having a choice. And God does not, I repeat, he does not meddle in with our free will. He will never do that. Demons tempt you in the wrong direction, yes. And God tries to guide you in the right direction, yes. But they're not. He gave himself the rule to not meddle in with our free will. It's something that he does not do no matter what, because he loves us that much to give us the freedom of choice. That's the whole that's another reason why he gave his son, so that our choices would matter. Now, and that's the whole point of putting the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden in the first place. The whole point of that tree being there is so that we would have a true choice. But Jesus called him a traitor. The four Gospels all call him a traitor. Peter in the book of Acts, the first time they meet up after he ascends into heaven, they discuss Judas. Peter calls him a betrayer too. If they're all calling him, especially Jesus, a betrayer, then he's a traitor. Now, did it always have to happen that way? No. I think it could have happened any other way. I mean, like I said, Jesus was always going to go to the cross anyway. Jesus was always going to suffer and die for us. But it just so happened that's how it was going to happen. Now, it says in both Luke and in the Gospel of John that that Satan came upon came upon him. Now, what does that mean? That the devil influenced him into betraying him. You might be thinking, well, is it Satan's fault? Well, yeah, he played a part, but he's already gonna get punished anyway. He's gonna get annihilated anyway. But think about it like this: the the devil was able to tempt him into betraying him, possess him in a way, not possess him, but was able to get him to do it. That means that at that moment, Judas didn't believe. In fact, I don't think Judas ever truly believed, because each time the four Gospels mentions Judas talking to Jesus, he always refers to him as good teacher or good preacher. Never does he call him the Lord. He never calls him the Son of God. He doesn't call him any of that. He just calls him good preacher or good teacher. That shows me that he never truly believed. Now, the one reason why I don't think he truly believed is because he was just like the other Jews, most of the Jews at the time. A lot of the Jews at the time, it's kind of the Pharisees' thought, but they all were all expecting a conqueror to free them from the oppressed hands of the Romans. That's what they were thinking when when he was probably thinking, and when he wasn't conquering like he thought, maybe that's what broke him. Maybe he didn't, or maybe he just didn't. I mean, he's witnessed him perform many miracles, and yet he didn't even call him a prophet like John the Baptist. He just called him a good teacher, which means that maybe he just never believed that he was the Son of God. In turn, that allowed an opening for Satan to get him. Satan pushed him into betraying him. Not that the devil now not the now it's funny to think that the devil is playing a part in his own destruction, but it's kind of implied that Satan was just doing it because it's the most evil thing he can do is betray him, and didn't even think that getting him killed would matter, but it mattered very much. God didn't tell him that plan. God kept that from him for sure. Yes, it was 100% his fault. Judas always had a choice. He had a choice. He had a choice that night. But Jesus already knew it was going to happen. Of course, it would still hurt to see one of his closest friends betray him. Not just a friend, a brother. He was like a brother to him, and he still betrays him. I always like to also compare Judas to the parallel of Satan in heaven when they rebel, because you think about it, like Satan rebelled, was one of the closest angels to God, if not the closest angel to God. He was beautiful. He was one of, if not the most powerful angel in heaven. And he rebels. He rebels in heaven, which is a cosmic crime. But it's basically the same thing where Judas, like one of one of Jesus's disciples, ends up betraying him, in a way, rebelling, which makes God suffer. And it's kind of sad to see that history just repeats itself over and over again. But Jesus was always going to do it. He was always going to suffer for us. He was always going to die for us. God loved us that much that he was going to suffer for us anyway. And yet, Judas, so Judas is the reason why he got crucified. Now, he did play a part in Jesus redeeming humanity, but and the reason why he went to hell isn't because he just betrayed him. He never believed in the first place. I like People forget that Peter betrayed him too. Peter betrayed him 3 times by denying him 3 times. He denied knowing Jesus 3 times, and the final time he denied him, he cursed. Basically, that means he cut off the connection that he had with Jesus. But the both of them interacted with their portrayal in different ways. Peter, after his big betrayal of Jesus, he cries. He cries and begs for forgiveness. And the next time they see him, he's still asking for forgiveness. He asks for forgiveness to his face. Now, and Jesus replies to him, "Do you love me?" And Peter replies, "Yes, I do love you." He repeats that 3 times, and then after he hears the third, "Do you love me?" Peter says, "You know I love you." And then Jesus replies, "3 times you denied me, now 3 times you're restored." Jesus had already forgiven him because he paid his penalty on the cross. But he's giving him confirmation that he already forgave him. But Judas chose a different route in his betrayal. He again denied the identity of the identity of God by once he finds out that he betrays Jesus, he throws a bag of money on the ground and says that I have shed innocent blood. He's sad that he betrayed an innocent man, yes, but he still doesn't believe that he's the Son of God at that time. But that guilt eats him alive until he kills himself. He harbors all that guilt to the point where he ends his life. And that's what makes him go to hell. Is that he never repented, he never believed, and he never believed. But Judas always had a choice. We all have a choice. I mean, we're no better because we sin every day. But what makes Judas' betrayal of Jesus even worse is that he betrays him to his face. He betrays him with a kiss. Judas always had a choice. But just like the others, they all had a choice in the matter. Just like Peter. Peter at first was telling him that I would never betray you. I would die with you. But then ends up denying him to the point where he curses God's name. And that is a betrayal too. But how we deal with but I think Jesus would have forgave Judas if he if Judas asked for forgiveness. I mean, it was all a part of his plan. Jesus was always going to die for us. He was always gonna rise from the dead. He was gonna do that for him anyway. But he didn't believe it. That's what caused that's what probably broke Jesus' heart the most, is that Jesus Judas my bad. Judas never believed in the first place, and never understood what was happening. And I think that's what really broke his heart, is that he could have chose a different way. No matter, Jesus was probably trying really hard to get it through his head, but he just didn't get the message. He didn't want the message because that's not the message he wanted. And that's what led him to be the betrayer. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you are new around here, or if you've been here before and you haven't done it yet, please hit the subscribe button. And if you do subscribe, please share this video with as many people as possible. I love you guys, God bless, and have a great day.